My name is Steve Murgatroyd, retired member of the Canadian Armed Forces. I was a sergeant with the 3rd Battalion, Royal Canadian Regiment. In 2015, I had a catastrophic motorcycle accident in Truro, Nova Scotia. Lost my left leg above the knee. Since then, I took up archery as a sport to help me recover and rehabilitate. I went to the Invictus Games in 2017 as a competitor. 2018, I was at the Warrior Games in Colorado Springs as a competitor, and then I've been a coach ever since for several other Invictus and Warrior Games. I coach locally here, I teach. X Limits Archery, Sab and I created that a number of years ago, and really Sab's taken it to the next level. The idea was no limits, meaning that we can find a way to teach somebody to shoot. They're not limited. There's always a way. Since then, he's brought in most of the gear that I have on my equipment here. Sight, he brought the sight in for me, the stabilizers, all the weights. He custom makes all the arrows for me. So they're custom cut for length, weight, color for the fletchings, the nocks. He brings in whatever a person needs. And if they don't know what they need, it's just a matter of talking to us, and we'll find the right gear. My rehab team had encouraged me to sign up for the Invictus Games after I lost my leg and I was in recovery. And so I thought, okay, well, check this out. I went online and I did up the application, and we picked our sports. So I'm scrolling through and couldn't really find a lot of sports that I was very interested in. Then I came across archery, and I thought, well, I used to hunt with a bow and arrow as a younger man, so I'll give that a go. So I put in for it, and I was accepted. And then I was introduced to a gentleman named Sean Wyatt. He taught me everything up to the Invictus Games and how to shoot and how to compete. And it fit like a glove. There's a lot of benefits for archery, primarily being that it keeps you fit, keeps you healthy. It's you get out, you're using your muscles, you're walking a bit, you're moving around. Also, I find it's very soothing mentally. Being former infantry, firearms were my life. That was what I did, was shoot guns and that sort of thing. Archery, similar. You still get that satisfaction of nice tight groupings and all that sort of thing, without all the noise and the smoke and the kickback of the rifle and stuff like that. It's much more peaceful. So I find that when I'm shooting, it's just me, the bow, and the target. Nothing else. My brain just focuses on those things. And all the noise that a lot of us with PTSD suffer from just kind of goes away. Actually, not a lot. That's the beautiful part about archery, is that it's adaptable. For me, as an amputee, I get to use a stool, and what this does is take out any instability that I would have in the prosthesis. For those that use wheelchairs, they can use their wheelchair. They've got the comfort of their own device. They still have their mobility. The challenging part is outdoors. There's a type of competition called 3D, where archers shoot at animal-shaped targets, three-dimensional targets, at various distances. And for somebody like me or somebody in a wheelchair, it's difficult terrain for us. So that's not a sport I take part in. I'm more of a target person. It also helps me to overcome a lot of hurdles, a lot of barriers that may be perceived but really aren't a barrier if I try hard enough. For me personally, it's about stability, using the stool. I also have other aids, like I've got an e-bike that I use on my range to get back and forth to my target. I can walk well. A lot of amputees can. Some have more of a challenge with it, but I think the biggest hurdle for most of us, most amputees, is walking for long periods of time. So adapting to less walking using various aids like an e-bike or a wheelchair, for example, certainly makes it a lot more accessible. My goals are to grow the sport. As a qualified coach, I love to see somebody find that passion for the sport. So teaching brings me a lot of joy. And what I ideally like to see is the sport get bigger and bigger and become more mainstream. Because when you think of Olympics, first sport you don't think of is archery. Actually, it can be really tough because you get so passionate about it, you want to do it all the time. You always want to be on the range, flinging arrows downrange, and reach out, get a hold of your local archery association, ANZ Archery Nova Scotia, Archery New Brunswick. They've always got avenues and contact information for people who can teach. I've been fortunate enough to have worked Soldier On at Invictus Games and Warrior Games. Every time I go to a games, I learn something new. I've assisted a blind person to shoot. I've assisted somebody who's only got one arm to shoot. It's possible. And if you've got an interest, if you've got the will, there's a way.